Staying with our coverage of the Osun State governorship election, where the momentum continues to gather rapidly. We'll now be being joined by Eze Onyekpere, a constitutional lawyer and social justice campaigner. Thank you very much for obliging us tonight. The past 24 hours have been dramatic, to say the least. The EFCC Establishment Act guarantees the commission operational independence. So does the president have the legal authority to direct the EFCC to unfreeze Osun account in this manner?
Well, in the first place, you should ask whether the freezing was the right and legal thing to do in the circumstances. Because the Electoral Act talked about state apparatus and administrative resources not being deployed to the advantage or disadvantage of a candidate or political party at any election. And that state apparatus includes investigative and prosecutorial resources of the state. Now, if this has been investigated since March, as the EFCC said, what is the urgency, to begin to freeze accounts a few days to the election, creating the impression of an unequal playing ground and field? So if Mr. President, as he rightly said, indicates that everything done by agencies at the federal level will be attributable to him, and he feels what has been done is wrong, then I think he stands in a good position, no matter whatever you talk about independence, because at the end of the day, he returns the power to hire and fire. So he was right in giving that direction. And also, it appeared that the agency did not actually think through the implications of the action it had taken, because you are discussing a state government, not just an individual. You can't unilaterally stop a state government from operating simply because you suspect some monies were being moved in a way and manner that you think is illegal. You could have sworn have frozen the accounts where those monies were sent into if they were not products of a public procurement acts or contracts that were awarded or somebody was moving money illegally. But to go ahead and freeze accounts of a state government, which had a lot of responsibilities for the welfare and security of the people of Osun State, is a bit problematic. So I think it's a welcome development. But at the same time, like you pointed out, it creates the impression of the lack of independence in terms of the way they operate. If the president can unilaterally give them an order and they stop. But it's the best thing to do in the circumstances.
Right, wrong. I mean, whose definition is that going to be at this very stretchy period? You say they didn't think through their action, I mean, referencing the EFCC, but we've seen them mount a defense of the actions that they took. And talking about that, the president, in his personally signed statement, as quoted by multiple outlets, said it had come to his notice that EFCC obtained a court order on August 5, freezing the accounts of Osun State government. That phrasing conflicts with what the EFCC's own public defense on this action has shown. So where does Tinubu's statement fit in? Is this a case of not having all the facts? What should we make of this? Or, I mean, by now, if they made a mistake, they could have corrected that, but there seemed to be silence on that little matter.
Well, ideally, they should have obtained an ex parte court order before they freeze the account. And you know, when an order is given ex parte, it means it is on the deposition and the hearing of only one party. And that's why the Osun State government immediately instructed its Attorney General to go to court to vacate the order. So it's possible they obtained an ex parte order. It's also possible they didn't obtain an order, whether it's ex parte or on their own initiative. At the end of the day, what the Osun State government was going to do was to bring all the parties to court so that the court could consider all the circumstances of the case to arrive at a decision whether the freezing order was lawful in the first place and necessary and expedient, or whether it should be vacated. So, but like I said, the legal proceedings may have taken a lot of time and is furthering the impression that state apparatus is being deployed to the disadvantage of a particular party and candidate at an election. But this also brings up to the fore the issues of the Electoral Act, particularly the campaign finance provisions. Those campaign finance provisions should have been meticulously monitored and machinery set in motion for their monitoring. so that if anybody is going to do vote buying or anything unethical in relation to campaign finances, it would have been very easy for the authorities to discover what is happening. And I recall about 2 or 3 elections ago, my organization worked in collaboration with INEC to set up a monitoring intervention, which had involved both INEC, some civil society organizations, EFCC, ICPC, the Central Bank, the police, media organizations, and a whole lot of agencies that were in a position to track movement of funds and even non-financial resources that were being deployed to the election, so as to give the electoral umpire the appropriate and that's exact situation how state administrative resources and finances were being used to influence the election. But of course, that initiative did not go through because of the lack of political will at some level. But I think that is an example of what could be done in the future if the political will is there, so that we can track these resources and who is abusing it for political purposes.
Do stick with us a bit longer as we switch gears now to our second subject with Mr. Onyekpere, in which the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission has cleared the presidency of any wrongdoing in the controversial Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council scandal, saying its investigation found no evidence linking the State House to the alleged fraud. The Commission's chairman, Musa Aliyu, was at the State House earlier today to present his report, and here is what he said.
Our interim report found that no funds of the federal government was approved or disbursed to the fake PFIPC/PEAC, and that we discovered that there was any weaknesses were found in the system of the State House and CBN in our own investigation. And also the fake appointment letter of Adeniyi Adeyemi Matthew did not originate from the presidency. And the ICPC discovered that Adeniyi Adeyemi also created 2 additional fictitious government agencies. Apart from the one that is known in the public domain, our investigation unraveled 2 other fake government agencies. To facilitate the creation of the additional 2 fake agencies, he used forged legislative instruments, styles as enabling acts, and using them to support opening of bank accounts. Because we discovered that he has opened 2 bank accounts in a commercial bank, which he went to use in these illegal activities.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's go now to our legal practitioner, Mr. Onyekpere. I mean, a lot of expectations ahead of this report was that there will be some culpability or some indication that there was anything culpability from the presidency. But now, the ICPC statement has cleared the government and not even mentioning anybody is to be investigated or a person of interest in the part of the government. That forged appointment letter is now cancelled. So does this put an end to the government side of things for you? I mean, the linking of the government, especially about the secretary to the state government, that the chief of staff, I beg your pardon, Gbajabiamila Mila.
Now, let us start by saying that the ICPC investigation added nothing new to what we already know, because the police have already taken this position by investigating and already prosecuting Mr. Adeyemi. So whatever they say, that's nothing new. But let me say categorically that there are 2 critical issues involved. One, if you look at the hurdles that we are jumped by the say the presidential initiative or whatever to get into the budget, to get a budget approval, to get an office, to get staff posted to the office, to open an account at through the Accountant General at the CBN, you will know. You don't need any ICPC or EFCC or anybody to tell you that this was an action that originated at the highest level of governance. For instance, the call circular is not usually given to an individual. It was given to the presidency. And the presidency brought forward that budget appropriation to the budget office of the Federation. When the call circular is given to you, when you finish filling the forms and allocating the money, you come back to the budget office of the Federation to defend it at the executive level. When they are satisfied, they merge everything and take it to Federal Executive Council for approval. Thereafter, it is sent to National Assembly. At the National Assembly, after general discussions, it now goes to the committee exercising oversight over that agency. So we should ask the National Assembly committees in the Senate and in the House that approved that budget or looked at it, who came from the presidency to defend that budget? And what did the person say about these so-called commissions or committees that we are now having problem with? Okay. How come the Accountant General does not have a list of agencies entitled to have an account open for them at the CBN? And how come the National Assembly committees that approve the budget did not know that this is not a commission established by an act of parliament? So two things are likely. One, all these persons and agencies and organizations and their head are participants criminis in the act. Participants criminis in the sense that at the level of a crime, somebody can counsel it before the fact. Somebody commits the actual offense, somebody helps him to escape prosecution or escape when the police or anybody is looking at him for him. The second aspect, which is probable if these things they were not participants criminis, is that they were negligent. And such negligence is so gross and perverse that all these officials from the budget office, the presidency, National Assembly, Accountant General, CBN, the persons who are located office, the persons who posted staff, can no longer in good conscience continue in the office.
Yeah,
because the negligence is so gross and perverse that it has looked at the subtraction and the substance of their office.
Yeah, so Mr. Onyekpere,
something that has...
I'm sorry to interject, but in the interest of time, I just wanted to take you up on that part of the ICPC's report. They said they recommended that those who, by acts of omission or negligence, facilitated the illegal operation should face some sort of sanctions. But we didn't get to hear any names. So the question a lot of persons will be asking is, how do you prosecute unnamed persons? Or do you believe there is going to be, because they say this is just their interim report, there's going to be more names mentioned subsequently?
Let me give you the names of people who need to be questioned further, who are grossly negligent. Whoever is in charge of the budget office bears a responsibility. Accountant General bears a responsibility. The CBN staff who opened that account bears a responsibility. Members of the National Assembly who are now pretending they're investigating, those committees exercising oversight that looked at that budget bear responsibility. Whoever approved an office space for him at the Federal Secretariat bears a responsibility. Whoever posted staff and could make sure their names on the payroll bears a responsibility. So you don't need to go far and wide to wait for ICPC. All those people should be sanctioned, and some of them should be asked to leave because what the level of negligence is beyond what can be contemplated. That means we have seen this one. Who knows what other bigger things they were negligent in that has cost Nigeria trillions of naira. Indeed,
Mr. Onyekpere, a lot of questions still remain from your submission tonight. Let's see what happens in the coming days. And of course, the presidency's response to this interim report. Thank you for speaking with us.